My presentation is on preserving your website and metadata. What is web preservation? Web preservation is the capture, management, and preservation of websites and web resources. Another way of putting it is web preservation is a set of processes and activities that ensure long-term, sustained storage of, access to, and interpretation of digital information. Why does a site need web preservation? As an increasing proportion of the world's information output shifts from analog to digital format, it is necessary to develop new strategies to preserve this information for the long term. To do so, digital data needs to be preserved in a format that exists independently from the systems which were used to create them. Otherwise, data will be lost. But don't be confused. Website preservation and backing up a website are not the same. While a site can be both preserved and backed up, it is done so for different reasons. Backing up a site is the process of using an application that takes periodic images of active data in order to provide a short-term, quick method of recovery. Hence, backing up protects active data that is changing on a frequent basis. On the other hand, preserving a site is the process of storing data outside of the traditional backup cycle for long periods of time with ongoing access to the data. The data is usually older and is no longer actively used, but is still important. So, backing up a site is for quick recovery, to recover an overwritten file, in the case of equipment failure, or in the case of corrupted database. Preserving a site, on the other hand, is for long-term data retention. It provides easy access to decades-old data, and data is important but no longer active can be stored. The benefits of preserving a site, and there are many. The greatest being that it reduces the cost of primary storage, which is typically expensive. By contrast, archive storage costs less because it is typically based on a low-performance, high-capacity storage medium. Archive storage also reduces the volume of data that must be backed up. Therefore, it improves the backup, restores performance, and lowers secondary storage costs. So what should be considered when you are choosing to preserve your site? First, there are several different forms of storage. Number one, online. Online data storage places archive data onto disk systems where it is readily accessible. Archives are frequently file-based, but object-based storage is growing in popularity. Another way to store is offline. And offline archiving is written to, or data is written to a tape or other removable media using data archiving software. And because the tape can be removed, tape-based archives consume far less power than disk systems, and that translates into lower costs. Another form of storage is cloud storage. Cloud storage is inexpensive, but it requires an ongoing investment, and also there's potential for it to cost more over time if more storage is added. And I've got an example of cloud. Of course, offline storage can be in the form of a hard drive, but I have an example of cloud. This is a top 10 review site, and they're reviewing what I presume are 10 cloud sites, because I see clouds. The gold award went to iDrive, and I keep doing that. The cost of iDrive is, for 1 TB, it's $13.90 for the first year. Now, we don't know what the other years will cost, but the first year is $13.90. For the Apple, it's for the same amount of storage, it's $9.99 monthly. And I imagine iDrive goes up to about that. Some other things to consider when you are deciding to preserve your site. You want to make sure that the information that you are trying to archive is protected from modification. A lot of times when people are archiving data, it is due to regulatory concerns, and so you definitely don't want that information modified. Another concern is you want to find a stable storage facility or storage capacity that does not have frequent migrations. Remember that you will be storing your data for a long period of time, so you want to make sure the storage service is stable. You want to have fast access to your information, and you want to make sure that your costs are your long-term costs are reasonable. And so how is this information stored? Website preserving happens via metadata. And metadata is an underlying definition or description that summarizes basic information about data. So most people refer to it as data about data. However, I read that that was not really accurate, an accurate description. Anyway, there are 3 types of metadata. Each is characterized by the purpose or function it is intended to serve. Descriptive metadata describes resources for discovery or identification and will include title, author, or keywords. Administrative metadata provides information to help manage collections, for example, how or when something was created. And structural metadata provides information about how objects fit together, for example, how pages form a chapter. And I have arranged key information about metadata and preserving a website. Number 1, it lives behind the scenes of a web page in the code. 2, it includes meta tags. However, not all meta tags are metadata. Some metadata is added automatically, gathered from information the system already knows. For example, if you create something on your desktop has some information about you, usually your name and other information, and it may have the document size. Also, metadata will be added to your data by the archiving site, but it's recommended that you also add metadata, as it is important that the creator, who knows more about the document and its making, add data. Mainly because the more precise your data is, the easier it is to recall. If you can imagine, archiving sites are storing tons of data, and so the more concise you are about your data, the easier it is for them to extract it. I have, for the exercise, I have included some instructions on how to uncover or pull up source code from a website, and I have done that. I have included it for Safari since we're using Macs in the class, but I have a PC, and so I have done it from my PC. And from a PC using Google Chrome, you go to the corner Customize and Control button, click on that, go down to More Tools, and then to Developer Tools, and it will show you the metadata, or it'll show you the source code. And to get to the metadata that I have located, I'm sure there's somewhere else to be found, but what I've located is at the top of the page, and between the source code head, open head, close head, I don't know how you say it, and you click on the arrow, and it'll bring down everything that's within that source code line, and you'll see metadata here. And if I scroll down, there's more somewhere. This is on Macy's. I figured they would have a lot because metadata was at one time used to draw people to sites. So anyway, they have some here, and I'm sure the developers have added metadata to this site. Yes, because I also put up my little site, and the metadata here in my site is generated by the WordPress or EduBlocks. That's what this is. And so I have very little. I have not even attempted to add any. So I have, yeah. And that's it.